it's so clear and powerful and vibrant. And every once in a while I see it. And so today was one of those days where that blue was all throughout the sky. So yeah, it's every once in a while it happens. And so I'm on top of the mountain. So there's also certain days where you can smell the ocean because there's like a certain bloom of algae. So it's like you're up here in the middle of the mountain, and all of a sudden you get this like rush of the ocean. It's very a magical moment out here when those things happen at the same time. We're good to go. All right. So what we're going to do is group consultations. I'm going to open it up for anything that anyone's going through. We're going to kind of like walk through that. If anyone says, okay, I'm stuck learning this, or I'm trying to figure out that. And that way I can just kind of give you maybe tricks and tips that I've experienced along the way, and things that possibly you didn't even know where to look, or it's able to help you speed up your process. So I think it's important, and I always said this before, about the difference usually between where someone wants to be in their career and where they are is only a multitude of things. A lot of it has to do with knowledge, because knowledge is how you get your expertise. And then once you have expertise, it has to do with your team. But that's pretty much the basics. Now, as how far and how big things go is a totally different situation. Like if someone's like, well, I want to become the next insert big idol. Well, that's has a lot of other factors to it. But if someone says, I just want to have success in the music industry, that can be quantified. That's actually a very easy process to replicate. The one where it goes to a viral success, that actually can be replicated as well. It's just dependent on how you want to be perceived when you get there. And I say that to say this, like if you wanted to seriously just like hop onto the map of pop music, you just have zero boundaries. That's basically how to hop in to go viral in pop music. You just have zero boundaries, zero moral boundaries, zero, willingness to do whatever it takes. That's a whole different ballgame. Or you're so good at your craft and you're so diligent at it, and you write so many songs, and you happen to have, once again, back to a team of people who are really excited about working with you because they believe in your music. They believe your music not only makes money, but has a way of touching people. And whenever that is felt, your team tends to want to push it more because they feel that energy from it as well. But that being said, so I'm going to get into some questions, and then I'm going to open up my DAW and show you a little bit about what I'm working on. So that way, if you're building tracks right now at home and you're looking for just the thought process of how to make things kind of cohesively work, I can walk you through a thought process. Because for me, whenever I watch things, for instance, when I studied jujitsu, I love the videos where someone narrates what they're doing, because they're telling me how they're thinking. So that way, when I'm in that same position, I know that, oh, that's why he was thinking that, or that's why he did that move. I think that, to me, that's the best way I learn, rather than just someone saying, here, this is my DAW and here's what's on it. I want to see, like, why did you use that piece and why did you pick that instrument? And to me, that helps. So we're going to do some of that today too. So let's see, it's 5:05 my time. We have Jamil, Brenda, Brian, Denise, and Sebastian. Let's just open it up right now just for just talking it through. Anything that anyone's stuck on, or that you could use a little bit more advice or tips on, let's just open that part up right now. Feel free to turn on your microphone, and then whatever comes to your mind that you think is something that you want to have a little bit more insight on, just let me know.
I got a question, man.
Yeah, brother.
I am kind of getting stuck on hooks, like how to create something that's really catchy.
Okay.
So how do you go about doing that? Like, what's the best way to kind of hit that?
Okay, so you're getting stuck on hooks, and you're getting stuck on the catchy part of them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because sometimes like there's a repetitive thing, or there's a thing that people do in hip hop and rap nowadays where their hooks sound like verses. And I think I kind of got stuck in that, and I want to be, make hooks that are conventionally catchy and conventionally like well received by a mass amount of people. So
okay, so you're saying that you want to learn how to make hooks more effortlessly, and ones that have more of a competitive and also structural integrity. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So first question would be to ask you a question before I give you an answer. Have you ever taken 5 of your favorite hooks and then asked yourself, why do you like those hooks?
I've taken not 5, I've taken several, and I think what I noticed is that I tend to like resolve them. Like it'll be like I'll do like a 5-1 unknowingly.
Okay.
So it'll kind of harmonically resolve
Okay.
instead
Well,
of
yeah,
like
I understand harmonic resolve, but and the reason why I asked 5, first of all, 5 is like the lowest number. So when you said I've done several, that means it's less than 5, correct?
correct, yeah.
Okay. So let's just start with this and say you should probably do about 20 before we have a real in-depth breakdown. Right. I'm going to give you the answer as to help you here, but if the answer is only less than 5 and you're trying to become serious at this, then 20 minimum should be like where you're resonating at when you're dissecting things. The amount of information and knowledge that you can pull from why you like certain things is way more massive than you can from just saying like, I listened to a several and it was a 5-1, resolution. If you were like, I listened to 20 songs, and I tend to notice that I like concepts that are like this, where they're a little bit contrasting, or they're saying something I've never heard before. I like melodies that are soaring, or I like melodies that are repetitive and have something kind of shocking. You'll see what you like if you're actually studying it. I don't think 3 is near the amount, right? So just do that for yourself. I feel like you'll have a lot of personal growth once you know what you like and why you like it, because then you can just reverse engineer it. And so, for instance, let's say you like a certain chorus and you say, I tend to notice I like choruses. I'll give you an example. For me, I always thought choruses had to be the biggest part, the belting part, for many, many years. I don't know what that was in my brain. I don't know if it's because I grew up listening to like R&B music and rock music. And whenever I hit that chorus, that was the big moment. And then when I started writing more pop songs, I started realizing that you didn't need a big belting chorus. You could do something extremely hooky, just catchy. I'm in love with the shape of you. I push and pull like a magnet do. And though my heart is falling too, I'm in love with your body. That's a very simple hook. There's no big moment. And when I started really listening to stuff, even singer-songwriter John Mayer, say what you need to say. That's a very simple melodic hook. And then when I started really dissecting stuff, even from Sia, Cheap Thrills is really only a few notes. Even though I was a fan of Sia's big stuff, Chandelier, but Cheap Thrills, which is her number 1, Umbrella, which is Rihanna's biggest song, is small notes. So I started to rethink my thought process after I started to really study. And I realized that the chorus was just the part that had the most amount of catchiness around a concept that was repeated in a way that made you want to sing along with it. So it's almost like a gang style vocal. So that's the best way I could say it. It was something that the whole crowd could sing along with on that part, whenever it was meant for those few notes. So when the sun shines, we'll shine forever. That's a gang. Anyone could sing that. That's a lullaby.
Okay.
So when I started to look at that, I went, oh, there's different kinds of hooks. You have your, let's say, hip hop hook that could be just interesting, panda, just saying something interesting, or black and yellow, black and yellow, black. It's just a repeated thing. It could be something like Drake, like, Hotline Bling. These are all very small notes. It could be something like Umbrella that's a little bit more in Shape of You, or it could be as big as Chandelier and Rolling in the Deep and all these big things that Adele does. Hello. So once I understood each one of these different layers of hooks, and more importantly, what were they all sharing in common? I think that's the biggest part that I took from it. And what I noticed they all shared in common was it was a gang vocal, or it was a moment, meaning the chorus created a moment that was whew, like, hello from the other side. That's a moment. wanna swing. That's a moment. So it was almost like defining the moment of the song. When it came to something like Shape of You, it was something clever, catchy, and repetitive. So I started noticing things. Okay, repetition, a driven home concept, something that creates a moment, or something that's cleverly catchy. Now, cleverly catchy for me, I started to notice, and I really kind of got hooked in. I worked with the songwriter who wrote Womanizer for Britney Spears. And I always loved the way there was wordplay. It was like, oh, you're a womanizer, womanizer, the baby. Oh, it was like always made your brain try to figure out where the next part would come. And we do the same thing in some of our songs. A few of the songs that I write, if you really listen to them, you'll hear I'm playing with the way you think it's something's gonna land. So it could be like, I'm on the next level, next level, on the next level. They all trying to catch up to my. You're not sure where it's gonna hit, but you know you want to hear that word because I'm repeating it, which is a similar tactic in, like I said, like a womanizer, where you know the main concept is womanizer, but you're not sure where exactly it's going to land. So even if I took a title right now, let's say I said, actually, I have a country song on the radio I did a couple of years ago called Two Step. And it's like, I'm going to do my two-step, two-step tonight. I'm going to dump. It's like, it's like two-step. You're not really sure where it's going to land, but then once you hear it, you start to get more hooked into it. Now, what I'm doing is I'm playing with where your perception thinks I'm most likely going to do something, and then I move it. Okay. So these are all little tricks, right? Like you'll see as you start to study stuff, you'll go, oh, it's in a lot of these songs. And lyrical wordplay and putting something in an interesting way. For instance, when Ed Sheeran says, I'm in love with the shape of you, we push and pull, there's the contrast, like a magnet do. That's an interesting line. Like a magnet do. If you were to read that line, you would say, huh? But when you hear it, you're like, oh, that makes sense. So a great hook, and I'll quantify it to these few things, is something, if it's simple, it becomes deeper the more you repeat it. So say what you need to say, say what you need to say, by the 8th time you hear that, you really start to think of all the things you should be saying, because it means something more to you each time you hear it. And I always say to you all, there's 2 things I'm looking for. One is an earworm. An earworm is something you can repeat, almost like Taylor Swift has a song called Out of the Woods. It's, are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods? That's an earworm. You keep repeating that and you're not really bored of it. You can keep ingesting it. But ear candy, I think, should only be used maybe twice in a chorus. And ear candy is something that's so hooky that if you hear it more than 3 times in a row, you get annoyed of it. And the best example I give people of that is in the beginning of Justin Bieber's song, I'm Sorry, it has a thing that's a vocal chop that goes, da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na. Then the horn comes in and goes, da-na-na-na-na-na.
Yeah, I remember that.
That da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na. You can hear that twice. But if you heard it 3 or 4 times, you would get annoyed of that. If it went, da-na-na-na-na, 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 you'd be like, okay, just stop doing that. It's getting annoying. But if you did it twice, it's just enough ear candy that grabs your attention and makes you want to listen more. Okay, so these are the things that you want. You want a contrast. You know, are you hot and you're cold? You're yes and you're no. You're in and you're out. These are all contrast. You know, it's going to be forever or it's going to go down in flames. You tell me when. So constant contrast. You know, you only know your lover when you let her go. Contrast. I can't feel my face when I'm with you. Contrast, but I love it. So there's always some sort of internal contrast, like hit me, baby, one more time. Why would you want anyone to hit you? There's a contrast. A lot of the successful Max Martin songs end with a question or a statement. So it has a pause moment. So it's like, and I got a blank space, baby, pause, and then command or action. And I'll write your name. Or Pause. It's like, what she goes, and when I'm not with you, I lose my, give me a sign. Pause. Hit me, baby, one more time. It all builds up to this pause. And then, or like, love me like you do, love you like you do. Pause. What are you waiting for? So it's always a pause and then reflection moment with a statement or a question. The reason why it's done that way is so that way it ends the chorus in a moment that you have to actually think. Because you heard all these things like love me like you do, all these lyrics, all these words. But if you notice in a song like that as well, love me like you do is repeated so many times. It's like, love me like you do, la, la, love me like you do, touch me like you do, ta, ta, ta. They're just repeating these words. So those are some things that you can use. So contrast, figuring out what kind of song is it? Is it going to be a hooky song? Is it going to be, I'm making a moment song? You can do both, I will say. You can start a chorus, for instance, Love Me Like You Do. The chorus is first sung low, but then the second and third chorus, it's sung at the higher octave. She's like, love me like you do. And she goes up there, which builds a moment now. But in the beginning, it was just a catchy part. All of these tools, which right now I'm saying to you, and you'll see them as you start to study more choruses and really go, why do I like these choruses? What I would do if I was you is find 20 songs you say, I wish I wrote that song. Mm-hmm. Study those songs. More importantly, literally write them down, write down the lyrics like on pad and pen. And what is the interesting thing that happens when you do that, your neural pathways start to get familiar with what it looks like and feels like to write a song that's for the masses. Because when you start to write, you start to see yourself having that envisioning of how to speak to or connect with an audience in a mass audience. Because a mass audience is different from connecting with someone who just like listens to your style of music.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we're in the studio, like all the writers are thinking, will people understand this? Will they be able to sing along with it? These are the questions people are asking themselves. So if you can write them down, you'll start to just embody that. Also, you understand rhyme schemes really well. Because some people, for instance, I know people will send me a song and I'll go, well, what's your rhyme scheme here? And they'll say, what do you mean? I'm like, well, it's like an A-A-B-B, then it's A-C-D-A, and your rhyme schemes are all over the place. Right. And then I'll say, have you ever just written, the lyrics down? And they'll be like, no, just do that. You'll see the rhymes. You'll see how they end. And this is another thing for you all to know is that most songs are ending in an A, E, I, or U. The reason why they do that is because anyone can sing those notes in any language. You don't need to know English to know if I went, you don't need to know the language, So for instance, you'll hear A, E, I, even too late to say sorry, it's sorry, it ends in an E. Like those sounds are what tend to be, not always, but like I'll write your name, it's an A. Like it's a hard letter that people more easily can sing along with. But once again, these things you'll see once you really take a look at courses that you like, and you'll go, oh, these are the connecting dots. And once you have all the connecting dots, you put them inside you. And then when you go to sing, you'll notice that your unconscious mind will know what it's looking for. So it's important to note this. If you never get the information, it's never going to be in your unconscious mind. That's how your subconscious is working. It's taking everything that you consciously are taking in, and then only keeping the things that it feels it's best for you to hold on to. And usually it's done from repetition. So if you're repeating how to brush your teeth in the morning, sometimes you just wake up and you start brushing your teeth. You're not even thinking about it. You're just doing it. You know exactly how to do it. Why? Because you were taught how to do it when you were really young. And these kind of things happen the same thing with music. If you play piano for many years, you sit down, you're not thinking about what you're doing. You're just playing the keys. You're playing a C chord, but you're like thinking, oh, I want to put a C sus2 or C sus4. And I know I want a different color here, so let me play with that. That same thing happens when you start to write hooks. So let me give you an example. If you resolve, like you said, here's a great tip in, and I will say this, choruses, the whole part of it is that it could come from anywhere. It could, whenever it's catchy and makes you feel, but some good, I guess, tips that could help is having a lead-in line that goes into the chorus. So, we said, and I'll never be like, and then drop on the one, you, not be like you, like, but have a line that goes, da 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 da, boom, and lands on the one. Another example of it could be if you do land right on the one, to land, meaning one being the downbeat, to do either the 1 or the 5 as the first note.
Right.
And then landing on the root note for your very last line. So it gives it the resolve you're talking about. Okay. So those are definitely two things that will work. Let me give you an example of something that's interesting is when you grab attention. By grabbing attention, you do it from a big note. Like, what's a song from The Weeknd? What's that song he had in that soundtrack? The Gray. Girl, you earned it. How did that chorus start? Yeah. Do you remember what the chorus was from that song? How did the chorus went?
I thought that was it. I don't remember. I thought.
Okay. That was, sure. Well, here's one to see. Like the song he did with Max Martin, which was "I Can't Feel My Face." The pre-chorus goes up to the highest note of the scale, meaning the highest octave. So it goes. What is it? How does that pre-chorus go? How does that pre-chorus go? It goes to wherever the highest note is, but then it drops down for the chorus and goes, I can't feel my face. But whatever the note is before, it's like an octave up. And it keeps rising. Let me hear it real quick, because I'll just pull it up and I'll tell you what it is. I don't want to play it on here because I think they'll stop the live stream, but let me play it on my headphones and I'll tell you exactly. Because that's the trick. Because it is a trick. I want to let you know that. They go to the highest octave. So that way, when it drops down in the chorus, there's a moment of surprise within the same key. And that's the part that I want to get when showing you. It's the moment of surprise where you're like, oh, he goes, no more, ooh, that thing. No more, ooh. When he hits that note, ooh, and then he drops down, I can't feel my face. So it goes to the high note, and then literally the chorus drops right down to the low note of that same scale. The same thing you can do in reverse. So with Sia, she's like, 1, 2, 3, going back till I lose count. That last note, count. I wanna swing. So that low to high jump or that high to low jump is a used trick. And you should know it, especially if you bring someone in our group, because I have these certain tricks that I know always work to create the elements of what you would consider a catchy chorus. So if I was to say how my brain works, it's kind of similar to, have you ever played a video game where it's one of the characters is always picking up new tools, and then when they have to use them, you can cycle through?
Yeah.
So so that's how my brain works in a studio session. I'll find let's say a big note and try that one. That didn't work. Then I'll say, okay, what if we went from the pre-chorus and then drop down to the chorus to make that part? Or what if we do something that's repetitive but kind of catchy and then throws you off? For instance,
so you have like tools that already work, and then you're just kind of cycling through what the sciences that you are kind of already.
Yeah, and Jamil, the reality is that that's what everyone's doing.
Okay.
That's why I say it's a knowledge game. You can write one by accident and become big, but the people who've been in the industry for like 15 to 30 years, they have tools and they know that they work, and they just cycle through depending on the key and the artist and the vocalist and really where their voice might cut through in a mix. That's a very important thing, because someone technically can sing all the notes in a scale, but their voice is only special when they hit certain notes.
Right, of course.
Yeah, you know, so for instance, like we all know that Adele's voice is special, or the most special when she shines in her high register. So that's why they use it a lot, because they know that's her sweet spot. Someone else who uses that really well is One Republic. I mean, most of his courses are going to be up in that same register, but Dua Lipa sounds really good in this register. And so that they're going to keep on tagging that. I don't really know too many Dua Lipa songs that have been like big soaring. Not saying she can't. We're saying it seems to fit really well here. So once you know these tools, and I've only went through a few of them, you'll start to get that feeling, especially when you've been writing other courses and hearing the melodies and really breaking down what they're doing. Another thing that's happening usually is there is a mnemonic going on. So let's discuss that. A mnemonic being a melody that's 3 to 6 notes that you can remember, and that's being repeated. So if we took Chandelier, she's like, I wanna swing from the it's it's the same. And then repeats again. It's not this. It's not clapping all over the place. It's a mnemonic structured thing. So when you start to see the mnemonic, and a perfect example is every single hit song, if you play me the first verse, I already know the mnemonic that's going to go through most of the song, because I understand the matrix of songwriting now, that where all I have to do is hear it. I can hear something in the guitar and I go, I guarantee that melody in the guitar is going to be the vocal in the chorus, because that's how they're playing the game. It's almost like if you want to foreshadow the chorus vocal, you'll play it in a guitar in the beginning, or you play it in the bass line. Like the bass line of I Can't Feel My Face, I think is going doom 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 doom. I think that's the bass. It's already setting you up for the chorus. Yeah, that's a trick called the Prince trick, and where Prince would play the bass as the same melodic of his chorus. So let's say if Little Red Corvette is like Little Red Corvette, so like doom 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 doom. That might be the verse. You know, it's doing the same thing as the chorus. And then when it goes in the chorus, you've already heard the chorus like 6 times, and you don't even know it.
So your brain is already prepped for it.
Your unconscious brain is already prepped for it. Yeah. Okay, there's a lot of unconscious things happening in songs. Another great example is what's that song? I heard it the other day, and the song by Charlie Puth. Charlie Puth's like first song that really did really well in that soundtrack, Fast and Furious. I think it's called It's Been a Long Day. Tell you all about it again. When I See You Again. There's a thing in the background that goes, that is going on throughout the whole verse. And then they actually sing it. They're like, ooh. And you hear it and you're like, wow, they did that same mnemonic 30 times. And it's just a way of keeping you absorbed. Because I think that thing at the end, it goes, oh, they do that. The big O is that, which is already happening in the verse.
Wow.
It's that lower octave. So that's what I'm saying. The more you start to study these things, you'll go, oh, we're just recycling these small hooks and putting them in different instruments so that the average ear can't hear them, but we're centralized around this one kind of motif that's happening. And it's happening in the drums, like the drums are pushing to enforce it. And yeah. So like I said, this whole thing we can talk about for an hour, but I hope that I just gave you enough to open up your eyes a little bit. So you'll start to search for things that maybe are right in front of you, but you haven't had a chance for someone to give you a different perspective from the inside out, and then you'll see them more clearly.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like when you were talking about utilizing that video game analogy was really good, because now I can sit back and kind of think, okay, well, these are things that systemically work. Everyone does these certain things. So now I can kind of wrap my head around it and like
Perfect.
make it objective.
Perfect.
So thanks.
Yeah, another one I'll say that before I finish this question is learning the major pentatonic scale.
Yeah.
And learning how to play it over a chorus. A perfect example is Calvin Harris. All he's doing is major pentatonic scale. When I met you in the summer, my heart beat down. We fell in love. Those are all major pentatonic scales. So it makes Calvin Harris sound like he's a soulful singer, but he's really not. I mean, not knocking him in a negative way. I'm talking about he's not like a gospel singer, but it's the notes he's choosing, and those notes create this feeling of soul and tension, and because it comes from like a blues scale. So when you go into a chorus, like play around with the major pentatonic scale and play around with the supertonic a lot, which is the 2.
Right.
The 2 is, I don't know if you saw that video I posted or someone posted in the group about the supertonic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just cop on. Honestly, when I sometimes like get on something, I have a loop going, I'll take out my piano and I'll just hit the 2. I'll play the major pentatonic scale. So I'll take out my like little keyboard and I'll just play the major pentatonic scale and I'll play the 2 note and see what it sounds like. Okay. I'll play with like 5. Okay. What does that sound like? And that's if a melody doesn't just come to me out of nowhere. I'm the kind of writer where melodies just hit me. You play me anything and a melody's going to come out. And then I can probably give you 6 different melodies. And I can tell you how I developed that though, because it is a developed thing. And this is good because I've actually never talked about this within the group. So you can use this as a way to just practice and build up strength in that area. So in our studio back in the day, what we would do is I don't like listening to the music first because then I would have a predisposition towards the track. So what I'd like to do is if I'm working on something, I'm in the vibe, cool, I'll lay down the melody. But if someone sends me a track, I don't like to hear it. I like the engineer to set it up prior, and then I just put in the headphones and they just play it and they put it on loop. So basically the whole song put on loop. And I'm going to do 6 different versions of the song. And I know that once I get one version done, I have to change it the next pass. So let me show you an example. Hold on a second. And the better you get at this stuff, at this one, the ability to kind of ebb and flow between this. So I'm just going to play a regular chord pattern. Let me see some. Can you hear that guitar?
Yeah.
Okay. I have no clue what I'm going to sing, but so. Wake up. There's a time that we place to make up. Everything about bound to take up my night. Yeah, I got the hold of me. Now bass on the S. Oh, I'm feeling in my soul. It's dreaming and I don't know the way that I'll go, but I just saying, oh. So I'm just gonna keep on doing weird melodies, and I'll just keep doing that. Every 4 to 8 bars, I'm singing something different. And then what I do after, I'll grab usually 6 full takes because it's a verse, pre-chorus, chorus, second verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge. I'll do all of those takes, and then I'll go back and I'll find the mnemonics that I liked. Exactly. So then I'll go, I like that part, like, oh, la da 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 da, oh, da 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 da, and then I'll stack that with harmonies and stuff, and it's like, oh, and then a horn. I'll just find mnemonics that I like, and then I'll go, okay, that part sounded good. What if I put that in another part in the song? Like now the bass, do 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 do, and I can sing a verse over do 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 do. That might be the melody. I might not do the whole run. I might take some of the notes, and then I'll sing a verse over those pieces.
Oh, wow.
So I'm always just trying to plug, plop, and play. Once you start to do it, it becomes more like painting. You go, I like the way that color looked. Let's put that color over here. And I like the way that color resonated off that color. So let's put that one here. Sometimes the whole song will just come out. I'll be honest. There's several songs I've basically written in the first gibberish. There was lyrics that people were like,
So,
oh, what were you saying? What's that?
oh no, so like you'll like when you're making a song, you'll do that. So like you'll take like a chord progression and then just like build off of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's dope. Okay.
Yeah. So all these things you can also practice. So for instance, you might make a track, you might get a loop from Splice or from some royalty-free YouTube channel. You pull the tracks so you can play with them, and just getting comfortable with changing the melodics each time it comes back around on the playlist.
Okay.
And once you get familiar with that, what will happen is your ability to kind of riff and play around also develops that art on stage. Because what I used to do when I used to play live a lot, I used to play with my loop pedal, and I was really good at the loop pedal. So I would basically ask people in the restaurant, the bar, or the venue, and I'd say, throw out a word. And someone would throw out a word. I'll be like, where are you from? She's like, Alabama. What's your favorite drink? Tequila. What's your favorite time of year? Winter. And then I just make a chorus with those words. It's like, we're in Alabama drinking tequila in the winter, or it feels like Alabama in the winter. I'm drinking tequila, but I'm not with you. Or so I'd start making up some stuff, right? And then I would get used to having changed the melodies until I found something I thought was really good and that fit. And then I would just loop the vocal, and I'd stack a harmony on top of it. And then I would walk off stage while the chorus was still going. So that was kind of like how I ended my shows, was just doing that. But that ability I was able to because of the thing I was telling you about, where I would just make up melodies on the spot, and then got comfortable with knowing when the mnemonics were the ones that stood out. Like that one's catchy. That one's catchy. These could be scrapped. That one's catchy. But it's really easy to hear them when you can see them in a playlist. So you can go through and go, oh, okay, that's the one. Keep that. Throw this other crap away. It's not as catchy. This one from take number 6, though, that was good. Let's put that right next to take number 1. That thing in take number 3 was pretty cool. And here's another trick. Sometimes I'll reverse melodies in the DAW just to hear what it sounds like. So I might take a full take and just press reverse. And then I listen to it, and you'll see these cool notes start popping off of it. Okay, that one's cool. And then I start to doctor and Frankenstein together this melodic structure that I felt was satiating. So I would say play with that, because that actually is a good tool to have in your kit, especially when you start collaborating with other people. Because when you're in a room and you're with other really talented people, especially when you start getting to these bigger rooms, or I just say other rooms where people are more credited, let's say, everyone has a pretty strong skill set. So when you are able to kind of collaborate with your strength, it empowers the room as well, and brings more value to the song when someone says, what was that melody you just did? That was dope. And you're like, okay, cool. And then do a melody, and then someone else has a great one. And then you're able to ebb and flow off each other, and not sit back and say, oh yeah, I don't really know what the chorus should be, because you're not going through your toolkit.
Right. Thank you so much, man. That's super helpful.
My pleasure, Jamil.
Awesome.
My pleasure, brother. Glad I could help, man. All right, cool. Anyone else have a thing that a little stuck on, want to talk over? Feel free. If you have anything, just click on to open on the microphone, and whatever comes to mind, just go ahead and say it.
Hey, Adam. It's Allison.
Hey, Allison.
Oh my gosh, all those things you just said, like how it sort of imprints on your brain when you're writing the choruses down and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I do this thing that I learned, it was called sentence composing, and you would take a line, like it would be subject, verb, direct object, and you would come up with your own words.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of what you said, I'm sort of going, I do that, like I jam. So I can create 4 or 5 different melodies. And sometimes I'm just sitting around and I start making up a melody just to be silly, like I'm going to wash the dishes now.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, because you shared some info I haven't heard before. And
great.
I am going to make an attempt to enter the contest. I can sing better than what y'all heard that day. And I've downloaded a DAW that I can actually sing into. So I'm really excited, and listening to all that, I'm getting inspired. So
Great.
thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Someone else have a question?
I just started to say something out of my invited one of my kids, Jay, onto the call, and I thought he had a new record he asked me about, and he's an influencer.
Cool.
He's got over 3 million followers. He's somebody who was putting together like the if we were going to do something with Baby Knox, he was going to bring in influencers, play video games, and to maybe do a live stream through Facebook and bring in all his popular friends. And so I just wanted to introduce him to you because he's been interested in potentially joining the group, and he's with a whole different circle of musicians that are. He's got some friend of his that went on Spotify and got, millions of streams with some crazy ass song, and he's written a bunch of them himself. And I used to tell him I didn't think he could sing, and all of a sudden he's starting to do all these amazing things, and it's because the style of music has changed over the years. So I just wanted to introduce him. And Jay, if you have any questions, just
what's
feel
up,
free
Jay?
to speak up. But you should say hello.
Oh yeah, sorry, Dad. Hey, nice to meet you.
What's going on, Jay? I remember you from the video that Craig sent.
Oh yeah. He's very enthusiastic. He's been telling me a lot about this, so I'm just appreciative to be in this Zoom call. So thanks for having me.
Oh, great. So I guess while you're in here, like as your dad said, is there any questions that you ever have? When you're working on music, and even if it's something small that you go, you know what, I've always wondered about that. Anywhere from the marketing or from the actual making the music.
I guess when it comes to courses, so I'm getting into like punk music now. Cool. And I have like a few like punk songs because right now I have like a bunch of rap songs that are about to be released. Cool. And what is one of the things that like mainly inspires you when you're kind of just like hearing a chorus? Because I'm not sure if you mess around with punk music as often. But,
I know.
When you're in, when you're like really just trying to get that chorus that resonates with your audience or anybody else, like what do you kind of like go by? What do you like think about?
Okay, so I don't know if you just came on the tail end, but we did like 40 minutes on choruses.
Oh, okay. I got a better one for you then. Hold
on. Before you go into the next question, though, there is something that you just said that sparked a thought in me that I think I can add to that 40 minutes. And honestly, Jalen, if that question, if you go back and watch a Zoom, because Craig, we can send him the link. We answered a lot that I think it might help you. I think we did like 30 minutes on just that topic. So there's plenty that you can go through. But there's one thing that you said that I want to add to it. You said to connect to your core audience. And that's the part I didn't talk about. So I'm glad you even chimed in. Whatever that chorus is, has to be something that you would say. Because the only way someone's going to sing it is if you would say it. And what I mean by that is if you can tell either a concept that you want to get out or something that you would say in a, like, what's the best way to put it? Like take anything from like Blink-182, that kind of punk pop back in the day, or what's another song? Most songs are going to be conversational. So if you can say something like, I can't feel my face when I'm with you. Like that's something, so like you would say that it's kind of poetic, but it means something that would be said because there's a depth to it. If you can do that, create something that has a depth to it in how simple it is. Because when he says, but I love it, there's a depth to that. It's like you would get wasted on me. So there's a depth to it. If ever you can say something really simple, Green Day was a great band who had very simple lyrics, but they were really deep. That's the reason why they won so many Grammys. If you can find simplicity in something that you would say to a friend, to a loved one, to a crowd, but something you would say, and it's simple, but it's really deep, it's weighted. We'll call it that. It's weighted. And you repeat that with the structures of making a good chorus, which you can go back and listen to those things that we did before. I think that's the final topping of the cake. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. Well, what was your other question?
That's great. That was actually really great. My other question is like when you are choosing, like, so right now I have a lot of options for like features and artists I want to collab with. And it's like a lot of it's getting overwhelming, and a lot of people want to be on this new like album coming out with. And basically, when I'm choosing who I want to have, because there's some people who obviously aren't big, but they have a better sound.
Yeah.
When I'm choosing like who I want to have feature on my like track, so how do you like kind of narrow that down? If you have too many artists when it comes to how many like songs,
okay,
how would you like, what qualities would you look in them, I guess?
So first we have to look at what it is you want your audience to connect with regarding your version of what you call taste. Everyone has different taste. So whatever taste that is pure to you or excites you or makes you feel something is probably something that your audience will feel something from. That's not to say that some people might not have a feature. For instance, Maroon 5 has a song, I think it's called Girls Like Boys or something like that. And in that bridge is Cardi B. Cardi B doesn't sound that good on that bridge. It's not something that when I listen to it, I actually turn it off when her part comes in because I know it's just for a gimmick of views. It's not because she's the best rapper to be on that moment. So some of it's going to be, is this an artist that I respect? You know, for instance, Kanye West always talks about James Blake because James Blake is a really, really great type artist. So he features him. James Blake, I think, either wins Grammys or has been nominated for Grammys, but he's a very intelligent and talented person, but he's not mainstream known. But Kanye knows he's so dope that he's putting light on him. So it might be a mixture of both. I would say work with people who inspire you. And then every once in a while, you have to work with people who just have numbers. So that way more fans can find you. And you have to juggle that. Is that the best way? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I get it completely. Thank you.
No problem. My pleasure, Ben. But make sure they inspire you. Just make sure that, not just clean sound. I want to also stress that because what happens is if you work with a lot of people who are just catchy for the moment, when they die out, no one's going to really, really remember what you're doing. But if you work with someone who has an artistic integrity that inspire you, that person tends to stay around for a bit longer, and that bit longer creates more awareness about you as an artist because you're associated with something who's now growing and not just in for a moment and then they're out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
I have
like a list. So thank you so much.
My pleasure, brother. All right, cool. Anyone else? Anything that you're thinking about? Anything that you're stuck on? Anything you want more to come to light? Just go ahead and open up that microphone and let me know. And if not, I'll open up my DAW and we'll get into that side.
I kind of have a question.
Shoot.
Do you think that like people can develop perfect pitch? Because I know you said Charlie Puth has perfect pitch, and that's why his songs are always so like they fit so tight. Can people develop that, or is that just something you're born with?
I think perfect pitch is something that you're born with. Or that you develop in a very young years. I think by the time you're 7, like it would already be there already. I think that's how it works. Don't quote me. I'm not a scientist, but I think I remember someone talking about that one time. But you can develop really great relative pitch because when I started singing, when I was already in college and I was completely tone deaf. So I couldn't hear a scale at all, really. I was just singing sort of close. But then once I started to listen to this one simple thing, when you go to tune a guitar and you hit the string, like the first bottom low E string, it's like boom. When you hit it and you go to hit the harmonic of the next string, or you just go hit the A string to find the resonance to tune, based on how many beats you hear, the vibration, you're going to hear a vibration in between the strings. It's going to go like, if you hear the beats picking up, it's getting too sharp. If you hear the beat slowing down, it's getting too flat. So you're listening for these beats. And when you really hyper aware your ears to listen to those beats, it'll go boom, 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 and then you hear it flatten out. If you can train your ear to hear those little beats, it kind of gives you like two lanes on the road. And the more you understand what the lanes are a little bit over time and you keep doing it, your brain will eventually start to fall into the lane because now it knows not to swerve in and out. And then next thing you know, over like a year's time, you've built up the muscle memory to stay in those lanes, and you're more easily for you to hit pitch. And so for me, pitch was always one of the things that I think I always was really insecure about, because I wasn't, I couldn't sing and I was completely tone deaf. So over the years, that's the one thing that I always like would get onto myself. I got to sing better pitch. I got to sing better pitch. I got to sing better pitch. And then it got to the point where I felt really comfortable with it. And even if people have to nudge me here and there, I know I'm delivering with enough intention and pitch for it to be believable. And only like the most micro and microsensitive and also picky people would be able to hear if I was off. Even though I might be hard on myself about it, I know that I've heard, Alicia Keys sing off more. I've heard like Sting or Mary J. Blige or someone who's like a singer that I really respect. So there's a certain level of going, yeah, you want great pitch, but there's a lot of great singers throughout history who didn't have perfect pitch, and they still did fine. I think we're just hypersensitive now because of American Idol and The Voice and X Factor and auto-tune, because auto-tune has basically trained everyone to believe in this perfect pitch thing, which before auto-tune, people were, just relative, and that was normal to be relative. So I would say try to find that beat thing and the vibrations, practice in the dark. It's very important. Play completely closed eyes and just play your scales, everything from a major pentatonic scale to a regular scale and minor scales, and get really comfortable with playing the scales in the dark. And your mind will start to see colors in a new way. If you do it for enough, you'll start to see like, oh, that's a blue note. No, that's an orange note. And they start to illuminate, because right now, if your eyes are always singing when your eyes are open or always making music with your eyes are open, you're seeing the colors in front of you when the sound's coming out. But when you close your eyes, now your brain has a chance to imagine things. And once again, those start to create these lanes. And so I do this all the time where someone will hit a note and I'll go D. And I don't have perfect pitch, but I've pegged notes more times than I've gotten them wrong. But I don't have good pitch in theory, right? So it's just all trained. But I can, someone hits a note, that's E sharp. Like I can kind of do that. And my next year, actually, one of my goals is to be able to do that on point. But I think that's something I need to work on personally. It doesn't just pop in my brain.
Sweet. That's really cool. Thanks, Adam.
No problem. Cool. All right. Anyone else out there? Brian.
So, are you pretty much exclusively starting your songs from Splice?
No.
All right. So here's my other thing.
Okay.
How much are you, like, you talk sometimes about you'll saturate things and lower them by a little pitch or whatever.
Yeah.
Little semitones. Are you also going back and playing, do you play a part, like let's say I have a pad part that I stole from Splice. Mm-hmm. Now instead I'm going to use tool.
Of course.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So depending on the song, there's a lot of dependings. Let me kind of break those down. I will use Splice. Let's say if I'm working with a new artist and they say, Adam, we need something that's, 125 to 140, has to be future pop. And I'll go, I don't think I have anything like that in my catalog, because I don't make that music unless it's requested for a movie or a TV show. So I'll go, okay, let me see. I go to Splice, type in future pop, find the BPM, find some cool samples that I like, just to get the sound started. And I'll literally do just the chords, the drums, and maybe a couple extra sounds, some reverses and some transitions. And then I'll build like a 16-bar loop. And I'll just sit in the room with the artist and talk about that and see if they like it. They might say, I like different chord progression. I'll take that one out, find another thing from Splice. Or I'll play the guitar or play the piano and I just use the drum beat that I had there. That might be something I do when I have something I have to get done. But what I do also is then I save that and I bounce it down to a waveform and I put it into a folder. So that'll be in my folders of future pop, 125 to 140 folder. Well, in my thing, it'd be 120 to 140 folder. So I have these things all kind of layered out. I might work with a vocalist. They come in and they say, I'm doing something for singer-songwriter. And I go, actually, I have 20 singer-songwriter tracks. So here you go. And just pick your top 3. And so they'll scroll through and they find the one they liked. And then we start to work on one of those 3. We narrow it down to the top 1 they like. and then we start to really write. So I'm always trying to build while I'm going, and then I might just take it all apart and say, what's the best thing you like about this track? They go, the drums are sick. Cool, let's remove the chords. Let's play them some of the instrument, because the drums are what we're keeping. So I'm plugging, plopping, interchanging at all times. I'm never just, I made this, so it has to be that. I'll take one thing and make 3 different versions of something. But to help you into something more to execute on, I would say I'm usually starting with either some sort of chord progression that I play on piano or guitar. I might use something like Arcade or Serum or some different kind of creator of a plugin or VST, and then I will use Splice. And between those 5 options, I'm going to find something, even if it's just a bass line, like do 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 do. That if you just have that, you can make a whole song over that. And then once I find something that just sparks, I'll basically tell you what the feeling is. It makes me go, ooh, that's cool. That's all I get to. Because I know if I say ooh, you will too. So then I go, what's up?
Yeah, I was gonna. One of the problems that I have is that I pick the best ones, right? And then I'm attached to the loop that I make. I have problem breaking out of that. Like I can replace something, but I picked it for a reason.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of either is just as cool or it loses some fire.
Let me ask a question. If you have something that you really like, why does it lose fire?
When I replace an instrument, I can use the same chords, but it's, doesn't always, I just got a course on sound design. I haven't got to look at it yet, but so I don't really have the knowledge yet to really nail something down to like, this is what it needs.
Gotcha. I will say there's a few things that help. So let's say if you hear something on Splice that's really cool and you go, I want to make something similar. It's kind of like getting used to hearing the sounds, almost like developing your palate, how you would for taste. So you go, okay, does that sound like an organ with a synth on it? Okay, so what are they playing? You kind of hear the chords and okay, that's kind of cool. And I add a synth to it, and then there's a little distortion on it. So they must have a saturator on it a little bit. So I put the saturator, and I hear there's reverb on it, there's a tail. I hear like there's a high harmony on the back end too. And that sounds like a sine wave or something, but it's got the high end cut off. And so you put it all together and you're like, okay, that's kind of cool. And now how can I mess with that even more? And then I'll put other things on it until I get back to that same ooh feeling. I have to always get to that ooh feeling. So even if I exchange something, I still need to feel ooh from it. And I think that's what I mean is that's what you always got to do is how do I still get that ooh feeling? Now, to take that a step further, if you don't have a vocal on it and you're just making a music bed, sometimes that can get you a little tripped up because if you listen to a lot of great songs, the music bed is just sturdy with a few instruments that create a uniqueness. And what I mean by that is there's nothing really standing in your way that you've never heard before on most tracks you listen to on the radio. There's like, everything's going to have transitions. It's going to have stop points. It's going to have a kick and a snare. It's going to have everything's going to be pretty similar. And if you remove that vocal track, you might go, this is just a well put together track. It's not blowing my head away. This is just well done. All the mix is there. All the frequencies are there. The width is there. The instruments feel like they're all moving together as one. It's all harmonically mixed well. That's going to be what you hear. So if you took any One Republic song, it's just going to be, guitar, organs, piano, same thing with a Coldplay song. They might have some violins, but there's nothing so shocking that you're like, that's not cool anymore. Unless you're trying to make current pop, future pop, things like that, which you can add some of those elements, but sometimes it's just down to the EQing, making it something bright and putting a little reverb and delay on it and saturating it right. And you go, ooh, that just feels good. So I think as you start to develop sound design, you then will know more about really what's needed and what is just, you're adding it because you don't have a vocal there. So you don't know what to put.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Anyone else need a little bit of help? Like I said, if you're thinking of anything, I'm here to help. If not, I'll hop into the DAW and y'all let me know.
I just had another quick question.
Shoot.
During this conversation, you mentioned a royalty, like you can grab samples off of YouTube that are royalty free. How do you know if they're royalty free or not?
They say it. You just type it into go into YouTube search engine and type in royalty free music.
Oh, sweet. Okay, thank you.
Just pops up for days. So here's a good little trick. Go to royalty free music. You can listen to the track, write a new melody over it, and then write a song and then develop it later on, but have like the lyric and melody started over the royalty free music you're doing. And then you can build something completely from scratch from that one melody you did. So you could go in and sing the melody a cappella and just have a lead track, like a rough track. And then, or you can take that track from YouTube. You can actually rip it from YouTube, put it into your DAW, record a melody over it, and then just remove all of the music and then start to create around that vocal.
Okay, sweet. That's awesome.
Cool. All right, so I'm going to hop in right here and show you my DAW real quick. And I'm just going to do a little bit of thought process things so you can see a little behind the scenes. So for anyone who is in our group, you know that I placed the song along with my production partner, Mary Marchetti, and our artist Baby Knox on the Watch Dogs Legion soundtrack and their video game trailer. And we found a really good sound in that music. We had that moment where we're listening to other records we did with Baby Knox, and they're all very commercial. They're all really good. But there's something about that trailer that really had a bite to it. And so we thought, you know what if we developed some more songs in this vicinity? And that way we can build, maybe 6 to 10 songs like this, kind of like a throwback to, Euro punk pop vibe. And while doing that, I put out a thing in our group. It was a contest for the most unique song. And in that most unique song contest, 2 of our members, the Billboard 500 Club, Andre and Yudi, wrote a song called 1-2. And so while we're here, I'm going to download it so I can show you. And so anyway, long story short, we really liked the song and we asked them if we could collaborate with them and if Baby Knox can do a version for her new record. So they agreed. They sent us over the tracks, and we've been going back and forth creating a new version of the song. So let me find the one that he first had. Okay, so here we go. So let's see. Hold on one second. So it worked out well because perfect example is the beauty of being inside the club. We get to just help each other. And it was the perfect example of in the middle of all of this craziness in the world, myself, Mario, and Baby Knox are all in different places around the world. And we weren't together to get in the studio. So to have a team like Andre and Yudi be able to bang out a song and send it to us and we go, wow, this is great. So it helps everyone because they get to get on Baby Knox's record. We have another song in the catalog that we all can put out into commercials, TV shows, Spotify, build it up. And it helps everyone because they can get credits and we have more market share of this genre we're working on. So all of these things are so important to note because as you get deeper in the music industry and as more of a demand you become, you can't just write one album and sit back. Like those days are way over. Like writing the album just sitting back is just gone. Unless the album is like a #1 huge record and you have 2 years of touring. But for the most part, you're going to be writing music, getting placements, maybe landing a deal of some sort, putting stuff on the radio, touring a bit, maybe you have a big hit on the radio, you keep touring, you keep writing as far as that and wide that can go. But you have to be able to make a lot of music. And so you're going to need friends who can write you a song and say, hey, Brenda, I know you've been on tour for 2 years. I wrote a song the other day. I think it's perfect for you. That kind of thing happens all the time. And you need to know it. A lot of it's just friends saying, hey, Adam, I heard you're working on such and such. I have some songs. every artist you know who's a major artist, Rihanna or something like that, she's got friends who are like, hey, Ree, I got a song, maybe we should check out. And that person's another professional songwriter. Because we all work in the studios, and kind of what you all are building together, you're building basically a massive studio that everyone knows about. Because that's usually where people meet, is they meet in the studio because they're collaborating there. This is kind of the first online community studio in a sense, because we have Zoom calls. Like I know a lot of people, John Mark is always working with someone on a Zoom call. And I know Craig works with Lauren Dyson, so I'm sure they're doing some stuff on Zoom. Like people are constantly working together, creating songs. That's what's going to be like in 5 to 10 years too. That's what we do. So it's not going to be any different when you all are knocking out songs at that level too. But let me kind of just walk you through the process. So they sent us a track, and I can't seem to find it. I wish Andre was here because I'd ask him for it. But what happened was we basically put down Baby Knox's vocals. So I'm going to show you the session of what we have, so that way you can see what I'm working with and kind of how my thought process is. So let's see. The host, Denise, are you there? Can you give me access to share my screen, please?
Yeah, sure thing.
Thank you.
Okay, it should be working now.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Let me know, can you hear this? You can't hear that?
Nope.
Okay. All right. What about that?
Yep.
Yep. All right. So there is a song we did for the Baby Knox Watch Dogs Ubisoft commercial. Here's a version of it. And what I basically did was took the version of a remix someone did, which I really liked, and I wanted to look at the frequencies they were using. So I opened up this thing called Adapter. So for anyone who wants to look at other frequencies of songs, right here, if you can see, it says Watch Dogs Legion. This is the file that I imported. And if I play it, I can watch it right here. So right here is going to tell me like the volume level. I can look at the dynamics, the stereo image, and I'll show it to you. So playing in the background is going to be the song I'm working on. And I'll kind of show you the A and B process. The one on the left is, this is the song that I imported. Okay, so you're gonna be hearing the imported song. That's on that. So I'm looking at how big the stereo image is. So I can see the high end is smaller. If I look at the dynamics, kind of shows this right on the red line, a little bit higher. This is the structure where it's around 50 hertz, 78 hertz, loud, down. So you see all those things, right? I'm just reading the dynamics of this and what's happening. I don't expect everyone to understand this on the first time kind of watching this, but I'm going to show you how I'm using it. So I'm working on another song, and it's the 1-2 song. And so basically I'm trying to make sure I have similar dynamics. So what I'll do is I'll unmute these things and show you that song. And then I'll go through and tell you why I have certain things where they are. This is all muted. I realized it was all muted. Okay. All right, so here we go. This is the other song.
Let's go. You wanna beat me? Gonna do it if you try to. I hit you with the 1-2. Come on. 1-2.
So this thing right here, it says match. So basically I want my track to match the track that we pulled in. So that one little button match right there will match both of the levels. Because what happens is when you work with a song that's already been mastered and you try to set a mix next to it, it's a thing called, it's a psychoacoustic basically trick that people think if it's louder, it's better. So you have to bring down the frequency to match the mix. So that's just a little trick. If you ever use this thing adapter, you can go to match.
Baby knocks.
All right. So I'm going to use adapter. I'm going to match things. Let's go to a part where the song really builds up, and then we'll match it. All right, cool. So let me show you what's going on in this song and what I added and why I added it, so I can kind of help you look into the production part of things. So let's see. Let's go ahead and read everything. The reason why I like Studio One, it's really kind of easy to float around. So check it out. At the beginning of the song, I had a 2-track mix. Basically, Andre sent me some stems. I added some music last week, sent it back to Andre. Andre mixed it in. We sent that back to Mario. Mario added some more. Then Mario sent that to me, and now I'm doing another wrap up. The reason why it's so important to have a good team is because through each one of these processes, the filter of the quality is getting better. It's so important you understand this. It's not just me on my own, and most teams aren't just one person on their own. There might be, but it's a lot easier when you have several people that you can work through, because I don't have to spend 8 hours working on the song. I'll spend an hour working on it, maybe 2. And then I'll send it to Andre. Andre will spend an hour on it, maybe 2. And then he sends it to Mario. Mario spends an hour on it, maybe 2. And maybe some person who created the initial track spent 4 hours. And then maybe, Mario and Baby Knox and I spent 4 hours on the vocals. So I want you to see things as time, okay? Because in total, it might have taken 12 hours to record this song. But my effort of time only had to be 4 hours. It's so important you understand that. Because if you're doing all of the work, the 12 hours every day, you're going to burn yourself out. And even if you love making music, which we all do, there will get to be a point where you'll realize that you're so overworked that you're losing the enjoyment of new flavors. So when you have other people who can help you, you're constantly filled. You're constantly like, oh, that tastes good. Let me play with that. Oh, that tastes good. That's cool. Let me taste that, right? So it's the reason why whenever someone's in my sync course, I'm always trying to teach you how to maximize your time. Because once you get it right, I'll do sometimes 2-3 songs in a day. Before I would do 1 song, 12 hours. Now I can do 3 songs if I do 4 hours each. That's a whole different ballgame. Like imagine if someone said, I'm going to pay you $1 for every download. And you say, okay, cool. And you sold up 1 million downloads. You got $1 million. But if I said, I'll give you $3 for every download, the difference between 1 million and 3 million is big. So when you start to see the game at a greater scale, because all this stuff is different levels, you'll go, oh, if I can start to build my team, who all people have good ears and we can trust each other, we'll all help each other's filters become stronger. And some people might be really great producers. Like I think all of us on our own are individually really great producers. So if you put all those elements together, cool things start to happen. Okay. But anyway, long story short, they sent me the 2 tracks. So this 2 track is basically Andre to me to Andre, Andre to Mario. Now it's Mario back to me, and I'm adding things right now. So I'm going to show you where we're at, and then I'll show you why I added things.
Baby knocks. Let's go. You wanna beat me? Gonna do it if you try to. Wanna step into the ring? I'll hit you with the 1, 2. Come on. 1, 2.
All right, so that's the intro part of the song when it goes into the chorus. Now I want you to see what I'm doing, and I'll show you why I'm doing it. So listen to and focus on the very beginning of this song. It comes in like this. All you hear is the car goes, ba-na-na-na, right? Do you hear that? There's nothing else sonically happening. And I felt like this moment needed a little bit of a grab your attention. So what I did is I found this impact hit. Right. So I was like, oh, the impact hit takes my attention. So what if I put them both together?
Baby knocks.
You hear it now? Now it has a little bit more of a grab to it. So that's why I want to walk you through the thought process. I was thinking, okay, it's the beginning of a song. We want people to be pulled in. Baby Knocks has the energy of grabbing attention. So I don't want it just to be the guitar. And if we can be like, boom, as if like it's like something blowing up, I think that's a good entry to something. So it seems like a small thing, but it's detailed thing. And now that you know the difference and the reason behind it, I want you to listen to it with this is by itself now.
Baby knocks.
Or this.
Baby knocks.
Very small thing. But when you have the intention behind it, what it wants to do, and none of this stuff is mixed yet. Once it gets in the mix and you start to feel it, it's going to be like, here I am. You know? So let's keep going. In the verse, I want you to hear the verse.
Let's go. You want to beat me? Gonna do it if you try to. Wanna step into the ring?
Okay, so right there, I want you to focus on the low end because I added a bass note now. I'm going to show you what I added. It's just a bass note hitting the same note, but I felt like there was a frequency that wasn't being filled. And so listen for the bass note. It's going to hit the repeated, I think it's an A.
Let's go. You want to beat me? Gonna do it if you try to. Wanna step into the ring? I'll hit you.
Can you hear that? Let me solo it so you can hear it. That's all. Now hear it in the track. Now hear it without it. You hear the difference? That little thing. Can everyone hear that? If you can, please let me know. Yeah, I see Brenda, Brian, everyone else who's on here. I can't see all your faces. Does that all make sense? Can you hear it in there?
Yeah.
Okay. So that little extra frequency creates more of an empowering moment, I feel. So that's why I said, okay, I'm going to put it there. And it's just the same note that I'm hitting again and again. Now, the next thing that I added here was this, looks like a riser of some sort, which means there's probably something of tension coming. And I want to accentuate it. So here. Cool. So it's just a riser of a vocal that has some reverb on it. Listen to it again. Now it's the key of G. So obviously I found a vocal that was in the key of G, and then I reversed it and then was able to put a little reverb on it. And this is what it sounds like. Now listen for that part in the track. There we go. You're at the end now. You hear at the very end. You hear that reverb now. So listen to this reverb at the end. See how it goes off? Like, now listen to it here.
1, 2. 1.
You hear it now? You don't hear it? Okay, listen to the way it ends. Watch. Let me turn it up a little bit, actually, so you can hear it. Hear how that reverb falls away? Now listen to it in the track.
1, 2.
Hear it now?
1, 2.
You hear it now? So now listen to it.
1, 2.
Now let's back it up a little bit.
1, 2.
You hear it now? Does anyone hear it? Yes, no? Give me some head shakes.
I'm not hearing it, but
you're not hearing it. Okay. Do you hear this note right here? Hold on. Can you hear that?
I hear that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now hear it in the mix. I'm gonna make it louder now.
Okay.
You hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna lower it now. Listen for the tail. This is what you really want to hear. You want to hear this part.
Right.
And it's hitting the G note. It's just hitting it real lightly. Watch.
2.
You hear it now opens up at the end?
I think there's something
on our side.
Like two people are talking. What happened?
No, I think there's something going on with my audio. I think it's like peaking or something, and then like it's kind of trying to compress it out of something.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Yeah, it cuts out on our side every time it hits that part.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you're playing it with the vocal.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah,
it might be my computer, to be honest with you.
Okay, maybe it's a Zoom thing. I wonder if I can get Zoom to play.
If you go in your preferences in audio, I think you can play it directly through Zoom so we can hear it as is on the.
Okay, Zoom
track.
preferences. The whole time I thought it was. I'm glad you're telling me. Okay, same as system. Can you hear this? Can you hear me? All right.
Yeah, we can hear you talking.
Okay, so let's see it. Can you hear this one, or is it still compressed?
Maybe not.
Yeah, we can hear that.
Is that through the Zoom though, or is it through?
That sounds a lot better, so it's probably through Zoom.
Maybe not. Let's go. You wanna beat me?
Is it through it now?
Yeah, you can hear all of it now.
Okay. Okay, cool. So here's the sound I was saying. It's just real small. It's this reverse vocal. Did you hear that pretty well now?
Yeah, we can hear it, but it was when there was like other tracks playing at the same time that it was somehow cutting it out.
Okay, but does it sound better now?
I'm not sure. I think it sounds the same to me, but I'm not sure.
It sounds the same to me as well, yeah.
Okay. So we didn't fix it. That's what I was making sure. Let's see. How can we fix this? Sound.
If you go into your DAW in the audio preferences, I think you can share it directly to Zoom, and I know that's what fixes the problem for me usually.
Oh, really? Okay, preferences. Yeah. Where do you see share directly to Zoom?
Like, do you know when at the beginning you put it through your laptop speakers? It's the same button, but you just click the Zoom audio.
Huh. Let's see. Okay, it says playback device, Zoom audio.
Mm-hmm.
This sample rate does not match your audio device. Okay, the rate has. Okay, hold on a sec. All right, let's see. What about now? Could you hear that?
No, didn't hear anything.
We gotta figure this out. All right. Hold on a second. Playback. MacBook. Microphone. Check. Yeah. All right. I'll have to do something else next time. But I like the fact that we're figuring this stuff out, because we're gonna figure it out. It says recording device. Yeah. Playback device. And you don't hear that, right?
No.
All right. Well, I'll show some other stuff then that are in here, so it can be detailed. Okay, I want to go to speakers. Recording device, none. All right. So let's go to this other section quick. Can you still see the screen, or the screen off?
No, you stop sharing.
Okay, so let me share right here. All right. So as you can see, I have that little reverse right here. That's just to build tension. So before the parts that I want something to feel like it's be more anthemic, I'm going to put a riser, a reverse vocal, a drum roll, or fill, something to create tension. And those are like little shocks of adrenaline that I'm trying to give the listener in the moment. So let me lower it a little bit so you don't get that peaking thing. Here we go. So here's the chorus. Now I'm going to do something really small, which is just adding a snare drum right here that's hitting to accentuate the chorus rhythm. So I want you to see that the first half on purpose, I don't have a big snare. On the second half of the chorus, I add just that, and you'll hear just the high end. And if you really focus on, you'll hear it. Check it out. That's what it's doing. So I'm gonna play it, and I want you to try and hear it. Oh, you can hear that? Yeah?
Yeah.
So that little bit of a snare builds the chorus, and it makes it go from, here's the first 8 that the ear now understands, but on the back 8, what can we do that makes it a little bit more interesting? And sometimes it's something as simple as adding a higher snare part, or adding a wider clap, or adding a high synth part that is just holding the note and pulsing in a certain way. A lot of times, I'll be honest, I might have a chorus part and I'll just take the root note and play it a higher octave and just play it in a cool way. And it might just a pattern be like bam to bam to bam to bam to bam to bam bam. I just might be hitting that note because the focus is on the vocal. It's not, the focus isn't on all this instrumentation all over the place. So I'm just trying to accentuate the rhythm of the vocal sometimes, or the rhythm of the drums in this case. All right, so that's another thing I put in there. So it seems simple, but that's going to keep, if you're looking at it like a graph, it basically goes, intro, a lot of energy, and then it starts to come down, and it goes up here for the verse, and then we go up here for the pre-chorus. Now we're into the chorus. Here's the back end of the chorus, build the tension, drop back down to the second verse. And we're constantly doing this as a thing. It's like this, just the drop. You want to bring it up. The reason for it's the same thing in a movie. If you watch any movie, that's what it's going to be. You're going to learn the characters, you're going to figure out the locations. It's going to have a couple twists, and shocks you. You're going to be like, oh, this movie's about that. And then it builds and builds and builds a bit higher. And then it goes, oh, that movie's about that. Okay, the guy's coming back to kill the person now. And then it goes to the end, and then it goes to the top. And then there usually is a moment where the person is shot and they fall down. And then always they come back. It's for that last jolt of adrenaline. So, but it's the same exact thing in every romantic comedy. Everything's going great. Everyone's going great. Oh, the girl cheated on him, or the guy cheated on her. Now I got to start again. I got to drink with my friends. It's the same exact movie, every movie, because it's trying to create these certain chemicals. And then I met someone new, and oh, look how cool that is. And oh, now it's a kissing, raining scene, and no more adrenaline. It's the same thing. Music's doing pretty much the same thing, but different genres do it differently. So it could be the way of picking up your lyrics. It could be the way you do your track. But at the end of the day, that's what it's really doing. Okay, that's how it's being constructed. So let's go to the next part. So as you can see, I just brought that same low bass note right here. So I just brought that back again for the second verse. I have the same big impact sound right here. That happens right here. So we have this little build right here. So I'm just basically taking the same things and putting them in different parts where I feel like we want to have those drops. On this one, I did a small little reverse as well. Let's hear this one. See, that's how big it just goes. Whoop. You hear that? It's just like whoop, whoop. And that's all it does with this here. So it's a mixture of whoop, boom. But if you hear them together, it's like a smack. And so those two are now working together. And so if you see them together, so put them next to each other. So this is what it is. It's literally going right into that note. And it's looking at it, they're both in the same key. Like I said, these things are all being done harmonically. So that way it feels like it's doing something and it's not rubbing in a weird way when you mix it. It feels in line with it. This is one thing I know some people don't do. they'll add sounds and effects that don't coincide with the moment of the song. It's just because it's in the same key, they'll just put the note there. And it's important to say, like, no, this is harmonically doing things. These are all moving as a unit. So when you hear it, it has a moment. So let me see what else I have here. Same thing again, the bass note is just hitting. Here it looks like I have 3 things for my reverse, so we'll check out this thing. So I have a reverse vocal there. If you hear it, it gets real gritty at the end. And then I have this hit. So that's a big snare. And then I have this reverse. And here's this one by itself. It's just a wow. So when I put them all together, let's see what they sound like. Do that again. Cool. Does that make sense? You can hear them?
Yeah, I can hear them.
And then in this case, I have this thing here. Let's see what this is. So that's just like a boom. That's a big sub that I have underneath there. So we want that. And then let me go a little bit further. This is this cool sound coming up. This thing. That sound. And I just thought that sounded like a cool kind of computer robotish sound. So I put this in the bridge. Right here. It leads into her vocal. It's a way of creating a tension into a moment, but coming instead from a riser, coming from a down sound. And I knew that if I put that there, it would have to run right into a vocal, right into another hit, because otherwise, if it was just in the middle of a section, it wouldn't create an ending tension point. Kind of like before, it went, it speeds up or hits something, kind of like a wave crashing. This way, I was like, I've done all these risers. What if I did something that came down? And that's the only reason why I put it there. I'll make it louder so you can hear it. Right here. You know, but then I just tucked it in the mix. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm putting the drums here again at the end, same drums. I changed the very last hit because I felt like it needed to be on a different beat to end the song. But that's about it. So this shows you the process a little bit of it, starting with Andre and Yudi for a contest in the Billboard 500 Club. Me thinking, oh, that's a pretty cool song if there was Baby Knox was singing it. Them sending it to me. I added some of the track, sent it back to Andre. He added some stuff, sent it up to Mario. Mario added some stuff. Then they sent it back to me. This is my final touchings. And then I'll just play the song from where it's at, and then it'll need a final mix. So I'll just play it so you can hear it from the top. And I can show you what I was using as a reference. So you can see, like I said, I like showing you behind the scenes of the mindset. If you understand the mindset, everything else gets a little bit easier. So let's take Watch Dogs, Legion, trailer. Let's see what else they have going on. All right. So can you see this page with Ubisoft? Or is that not?
Oh, it's still sharing on your DAW.
Okay, hold on. Let me. All right. Can you see now?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm gonna hit this and press loop for anyone seeing that. So that way I can watch the show. It watches the commercial that comes back around. So if you right click on the YouTube video, it allows you to loop. And then I'm just gonna play the track while it's going. And then I'm gonna play the song.
Baby Knox. Let's go. You wanna beat me? Wanna do it if you try to. Wanna step into the ring? I'll hit you with the 1, 2.
Cool. You guys will see that? All right, so let me stop the share thing.
Fire.
All right, so can you hear me now too? All right, so that's a little bit what I'm doing behind the scenes. Breaking these things down, looking them on visuals, making sure it all seems like it has that, when I say sync feeling, you should sink into the moment where you forget the song a bit, but yet you know it's there and it's driving the visual. I want you to all understand the also big reason why I talk to you about sync, and the reason why I'm constantly saying get as much information that you can about this side of the marketplace is because the radio can always play can play old songs. There's oldie channels. So if music stopped tomorrow, you can still play songs over and over again that have already been done. There's already been so many songs. But if you removed music from a movie, the whole entire context changes. You've never heard a movie without any sound. You would actually feel weird watching it. If no one has ever actually watched anything without sound, you would see how weird a full movie without sound, without music. Because what happens is the music helps the listener to grab attention to the characters, because you don't have enough time to figure out how the characters really are, the backstory. So whenever a new person comes in or a moment, they enforce the moment or the character with music. You never see that part where like the bad guy walks in, the music changes, or like the tough guy and it's like now hip hop song. That is to enforce the character. If you were to remove us from the TV and film world, the TV and film world doesn't exist the same way. So there's a lot of collaboration and power in that relationship, and the people who are on that side know it. They know they can't just get any song. They know they need the right song to get the right emotion to sink in, and they're willing to pay for it because they know there's value. Or unfortunately, on the radio side of things, people aren't buying albums anymore. They're not really doing what they used to, so the money isn't the same because the listener doesn't value music the way the listener of 15 years ago valued music. So you got to remember that's a value system happening right now that no one's calling to attention. That the value of the creator is being taken by the views on the Spotify and the value of the actual creator, because now it's not as valuable to the listener. But in TV and film, it's still valuable to the film, because without it, there is no film. Does that make sense? That value system is important for you all to know. Just as creators, just to know there's that game being played. Because if you understand it, then you can make plenty of songs for your artistic work. You can make songs for your TV and film side. You can create a living, create a buzz. There's a lot of things you can do that were never possible really before, ever in music history. So if you can take advantage of it while it's here, you stand to put yourself in a well position without having to fall into it through luck. But anyway, did that make sense in the stuff I just showed you with the production? Help the mindset to understand. I use the A/B adapter, figure out the levels, try to get close to it. I start adding things. I'm using the same key or harmonies of that key when I'm building. I use a visual to keep the energy. And once I feel that sink in feeling, my brain doesn't say something's needed right there. It's like, depending on what part they use, there's something that will work. And as a listener, if she was playing a live show, I know she would have enough energy. I know if she was on stage doing the song and there was a band behind her, and it'd be like a mosh pit in the UK, and it'd provide energy for the fans. So I'm creating a moment for people. I'm always trying to do that when I'm making a track or when I'm collaborating with a track. I'm trying to create this moment that everyone can enjoy in the audience, either from the people who are listening to it right in front of the person, or if it was on a episode of a TV or a movie or a trailer. Am I providing value for that moment, for that demographic or those people? And so these moments I'm doing, like the stops and these impacts and these claps and that snares, How do I create these moments that people can feel? And if there's a lack of a moment, then okay, maybe we should put something else there. But another part of the art is not over cluttering sonics. So having the ability to say, okay, for instance, I put that bass note in there because I felt like there was no bass in that mid range, but knowing to hear that and go, I feel a little empty on the bass line, the bass side. Okay, then grab a bass. Like I feel like right above the vocal, it's kind of empty back there. The way I can say it, I look at it like looking at a painting and kind of like, I feel like there needs to be some colors right here. I don't know exactly what. Maybe it's a piano. And so I'll go find a piano and I'll play the music until I hear something. Oh, that feels cool. I feel like the low end needs some work, maybe like a bass line, or I feel like if I had a cello, it would really feel like the emotionally will hit. So I'm just trying to go with these colors and then play with those. Cool. All right. Is there any questions? Anything before I go, let me know. Okay, everyone.
Dude, this has been great, man.
So I'm glad I can help. I just want everyone to know next year, we're not going to have the one-on-one courses, as I've mentioned before. My schedule is getting too crazy to do one-on-ones. So we're going to change things around. I'm going to talk with Denise, but one of the things we're going to do is more of a group, almost like a year-long course. This is the first one I'm going to try it. I'm going to try the first year-long course. Basically, I feel like if I work with someone or with a group of people and just say, we're taking on this group, and let's say it's anyone who has the mentorship lessons, and then we're going to have like homework and we'll have collaborations within that group. And so anyone who's my mentorship group will be a part of this. And I'll set you up on collaborations. Like I want you to work with this person for like a week and I want you to learn from them because they're really good at that. And I think if I was able to help with that, people would start to grow even more because I know everyone's strengths and weaknesses because I work with everyone one-on-one. So I can say, okay, he's really good at acoustic guitar and he's really good at making a beat. So if you two work together with her as a singer, probably will work really well. So I had to have that ability to see everyone's strengths and weaknesses. So I think what we're going to do, I shouldn't say I think, I know what we're going to do is to create a thing to where, we're working on songwriting for like 3 months, and then we'll work on production for 3 months. And then we'll work on mixing and we'll work on different things throughout time. And we'll have homework and we'll have collaborations and really build a focused energy. So for anyone who's joining that next year, if you have the mentorship course, the consultations, it'll go to that. And for anyone who doesn't, it's something that you probably want to get into because it'll be similar to this, where we can all get to meet each other and grow from that. And then kind of start to form our teams in a sense and our strengths and weaknesses. So anyway, I'll keep you posted about that. Syncing conference. I know a bunch of people, the tickets are going. So if anyone wants to take that seriously, I highly recommend, even if you've already taken a course with me, this conference is going to be things that from different angles. You're going to learn directly from the supervisors. You're going to learn directly from the executives. You're going to make connections with them. There's going to be a place where you're pitching songs and getting advice. This is a collaboration too. There's contests where you'll be doing 48-hour challenges with other people. So it's a way of doing a whole lot of things in that week. There's going to be like 16 plus hours of information to even this kind of stuff where we're opening up our DAWs and showing you exactly what we're doing. Personally, for me, I get the most is when I'm either in the room with someone or I get to watch how they're thinking while they're doing it. And if you can learn from other people how they think, how they write this kind of song, how they write that kind of song, when you get into the mode, you can put your headphones on and kind of zoom instead of wondering like, what should I do? What should I do? You go right to the spot, like super fast. Cause I remember Adam said, he does this. Let me try that. Oh, that worked. Oh, I remember Easy McCoy says when he writes an anthem, he's thinking of this. Oh, what can a whole stadium of people sing together? Let me think. Oh, okay, let me do that. You'll kind of understand these things. So for me, there's other people even at the event that I'm going to be learning for, especially like Spencer Ludwig, because he works directly with brands. And that might not sound like a huge thing, but when you're getting a check from someone and you have to go through a company where you go directly to the brand, it's going to be double the amount. So if they paid a company $100,000, that company pays you $50,000 and you take $50,000. But if you can get paid $100,000, you just bought a home, you bought a piece of real estate. It's a big jump. And if you get 2-3 songs in a year like that, that's $300K. That's a whole different ballgame. So I want to learn how he does that more because he's really good at that. But there's all kinds of stuff that we'll be learning. So if anyone is grab those tickets before they do, because we haven't marketed them to anyone yet, like no paid marketing. Once the paid marketing starts happening, people are going to start buying up tickets because they're going to see the information, want to go, but they're not in our group. I'm trying to get as many people in our group to be, the best they can be. So that way you all internally are just working with each other for the next, 10 years. And the better that everybody is, the easier careers will be. Because that's the one thing that held my old team back, is that only a few of us were trying to become great. But there was someone who had a really great voice, but they weren't trying to be great at anything else. They didn't try to be great at songwriting. They didn't try to be great at production. Someone was a really great producer, but he couldn't be in the room with artists because he didn't know what a great song sounded like when it was written. So like not everyone was trying to be great all around. And because of that, it was almost like too many people were trying to juggle things that they couldn't handle. And so eventually, like, you'd have a good song, then not so good songs, and a good song and not so good songs. But now with my teams, everyone is like boom, 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 boom. So the filter is too high to have a song that's not even good. And once you get around your teams, you're going to find that as well. There won't be a time where a song even gets past you that isn't something that you can go sit back and go, that's marketable. But I'm letting you know that took me time to get to, and it was definitely formulating the team and trusting my instincts after I learned and studied enough music from the things I always show you, like use a head song checklist and listen to songs and write them out and learn the chord progressions. But once you do that, it becomes pretty unconscious again. And when something doesn't feel right, you're like, no, it's missing a frequency. Because now you've heard all these hit songs that have the frequency charts, or you've heard all that fulfillment, or you've heard the chorus that is edgy or catchy or made you feel an emotional nostalgia. Like you've heard so many of them, and that, now I have to make that sound. I have to make that feeling in my bottle. And then once you correlate all those things, literally, you're not going to be able to do anything else but it. It becomes very much like you build your own filter process. And same thing as like cooking. If you know how to cook something really good, you don't want to cook anything that's not as good as that other thing. And you'll even say it like, this isn't my best meal. That's kind of with music. Like I cook a really good chicken parm. You want to cook other things really well too. And you'll tell people if you don't think that they are. So, all right. That being said, everyone, I will see you at the next group consultations next month. If you need anything, let me know, send us a message, and I'm going to take off. Till we see each other again.
Thank you so much, man.
Later.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Later, man.